One of the most important aspects of any video game is its setting and world. Ever since the era of 8-bit, they've been growing in size and have been filled to the brim with detail. Outside the characters that inhabit it and the narrative that weaves it all together, it's the world and its secrets that really draw us in. And in those worlds, we can find little things hidden around that tie them to other games. Now sure, some of these might just be Easter eggs and something the developer snuck in, so with that being said, here's 9 more courtesy of the comments. I'm Ben Roy from WhatCulture.com, and this is 9 video games you didn't know were connected. Commenter edition. Number 9. Death Stranding and Cyberpunk 2077. Starting off with 2 of the biggest games in recent years, both in size and mindshare, players have combed through these tirelessly, because one's a Kojima game, and the other one was hyped for 7 years. And when Cyberpunk is actually running, you can find quite a lot of Easter eggs that sort of connect it to other games. But the most interesting comes from the hunt mission when you're with River Ward, which has River and V breaking into a building that happens to contain BB of all things. Yes, somehow Sam Pot or Bridget's got a day off, or a babysitter, or perhaps BB just fell through the space-time continuum. But speculation aside, it'd be cool to see Kojima get his hands on a Cyberpunk game one day. Make it happen, CDPR. Number 8. Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid. Sadly, the stealth genre in video games is all but dead. Sure, Assassin's Creed has some stealth elements, but we just need to let go of this genre. It's not coming back. Well, not anytime soon anyway. Even though Ubisoft think it's fun to put Sam Fisher in every game possible, apart from a new Splinter Cell game. Just put the nail on the coffin and let's move on, okay? Well, that was my reaction until he turned up in Ghost Recon Wildlands, with one of the best Sam Fisher moments ever. After teaming up with the ghosts for a short while, he drops a mind-blowing piece of dialogue. And what gives this much more weight is that Michael Ironside is even back. And after saying,
"There was this other guy though, Army infiltration, he wore a bandana or something."
fans of both games lost their minds. Sam Fisher outright references Solid Snake here, only to be told that he's retired. And with that news, Sam looks crushed. He has a broken expression on his face. Not only is this heartbreaking, but it just leaves us wondering what this team up would have been like. Number 7. Resident Evil and Dead Rising. Now, Resident Evil and Dead Rising apparently aren't connected at all, according to Capcom anyway. But we all know never to say never, especially when money's on the table. Though with this subtle connection, we could see Capcom branching out of video games, just like Konami did. But the connection to both games comes when Frank West is wandering around the mall. Travelling through the Paradise Plaza, he spots a restaurant that only diehards will notice, named after the terrible dialogue in the original Resident Evil, so this means that when she's not fighting zombies, Jill's running a successful business. Dead Rising came out at a weird time for Capcom, when they were trying to be more American, but now Resident Evil is back on its feet and in a sweet spot, so for now Frank West has been shelved. But regardless of that, just imagine wandering around the mall with the RE engine. That's a spin-off I want to play. And besides, Frank West and Jill Valentine have worked together before in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Number 6. Red Dead Redemption and LA Noire. Rockstar games are jam-packed with cool Easter eggs and fun things to find. After all, the GTA series is an amalgamation of crime movies and pop culture references, as well as satire and everything else in between. But one of their coolest Easter eggs to date doesn't come in a GTA game, and in fact it ties two of their other titles together. In LA Noire, the player can explore the world if they want to, even though it's one of the more emptier Rockstar games. But stumbling across an alley, Cole Phelps can find something that isn't from his time. And even though this is LA, it's not a movie prop. Upon taking a closer look, it's actually the hat of John Marston. So after dying in 1911, Jack Marston took his hat, moved to Hollywood, and decided to throw it away. It's a real shame that Cole Phelps didn't get to shout at one of the descendants of John.
We can put 2 and 2 together, Jack.
Interview. Number 5. Minecraft and Borderlands 2. If there's one thing that helped Borderlands 2 stand out, it's the art style. This could have been another grey and brown shooter of its time, but it was colourful and fun, and this surprisingly shook things up in the PS3 and 360 generation. Another game that wasn't so much saved by the art style, but the sheer creativity of it, was a little known game called Minecraft. Becoming a cultural phenomenon overnight and being so recognisable, it was shocking to see elements of this game in Borderlands 2. In a shocking turn of events, it seems both of these games are connected, thanks to a weird magical cave, which is most probably thanks to the magic of Randy Pitchford. That man's a magician. And in said cave are a few creepers and one badass creeper, as well as some really recognisable blocks. After beating a few creepers and then the badass boss creeper, the player can take their rewards and then, well, dress up like a Minecraft person, which is actually pretty neat because the Minecraft cube heads really suit this art style. Number 4. Mirror's Edge and Battlefield 3. EA Games used to love challenging everything, but now they just want to to see how good you are with a gun. At one point we got one of the best horror games to date from them with Dead Space, and there was also a little known free runner called Mirror's Edge. Becoming somewhat of a cult classic, sadly Mirror's Edge has been forgotten, but even though we probably won't get a third game, its legacy lives on through Battlefield, thanks to the third installment borrowing its leg tech, and a few things that Faith left behind. In 2 DLC maps you can find her shoes or a backpack, left on top of a building or in a container. The backpack even comes with a little neat sound cue, but this really does beg the question, how did Faith get here? Now was this just a little tease left by developers? Or did she master time travel as well as parkour? Number 3. Assassin's Creed and The Witcher 2. For the vast majority of players, The Witcher 3 was their first trip into this universe. And frankly, those people are missing out, especially when it comes to The Witcher 2. Maybe they were all too busy being sucked into the juggernaut franchise, Assassin's Creed, because once you get around to completing one, Ubisoft has another one. But if anyone has the time to play both, there'll be rewards and fun nods to find. And maybe just connecting these 2 games. Down a side street in The Witcher 2, Geralt can find someone who's dressed pretty familiar. Face down on the floor, it looks like the hay didn't break this fall. Now sure, it could just be anyone, but it looks like Altair, and probably explains why he didn't get another full-fledged game. Because he broke his neck in The Witcher 2, connecting both of these worlds. Allegedly. Either that, or he's just taken the most uncomfortable nap of all time. Number 2. Tomb Raider and Shadow Warrior. Lara Croft is synonymous with video games and the culture surrounding it. If you were to stop a stranger on the street and ask them to name a video game character, they'd probably say Mario or Tomb Raider, even though Tomb Raider's not really her name, but still. So whenever she pops up in a game or media, it's quite a big deal. But there is one appearance in Shadow Warrior that really goes unmentioned, and probably for good reason. Certainly a product of its time, Shadow Warrior was one of those many build engine games that followed in the wake of Doom, but this one had a little bit more edge to it. During level 4, after blowing up a certain wall, you can find the legendary raider herself being tied up. Now you can put this down to developers being cheeky or it being a certain error of attitude. This becomes more than just a little Easter egg when a character Lo Wang makes a certain creepy comment.
She's rated her last doom.
Number 1. Papers, Please and Uncharted 4. Now straight up, this is one of the weirdest and wildest connections 2 games have shared yet. With Uncharted being set in a colourful swashbuckling universe, it couldn't get further from the world of Papers, Please. It's literally the total opposite. So when these 2 worlds collided, not only was it shocking, but hardly anyone noticed it at first. During the 11th mission of Uncharted 4, hidden in plain sight, Drake and Sully wander through a visa checkpoint. Full of people trying to get through, Sully mentions that he's not looking forward to this queue when he goes back to the States. But what does Nathan reply with?
Could be worse. Could be our Stotska.
These 6 words bring the world of Uncharted and Papers, Please together. Now this leaves us wondering, just why did Drake visit this communist-controlled country? Did he come to bring glory to Stotska? Or perhaps he was working with Georgi on business? Either way, Neil Druckmann and the rest of the brilliant minds in Naughty Dog need to make this happen, no matter how grim it might be. And that's our list. That's 9 video games you didn't know were connected, commenters edition. Let us know of any more connections in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And also follow us on Twitter at WCulture Gaming and follow me at Ben Roy Turner. And until next time, no more games.